Imagine this: a warm spring afternoon, the air heavy with the scent of fresh rain. Soft pink petals drift lazily from the sky, brushing against your skin like silk. The breeze whispers secrets through the trees, carrying stories older than time itself. These cherry blossoms, delicate, fleeting, and achingly beautiful, are more than just flowers. They hold memories, emotions, and sometimes secrets. Secrets that can change lives forever. Today, we're unraveling one such story, a tale hidden beneath those very cherry blossoms. It's the story of a man who had everything money could buy, but nothing his heart truly desired. A millionaire whose life seemed perfect on the surface, but was crumbling underneath. And then came her, a woman who turned his world upside down in ways no one saw coming. But this isn't just another love story. It's about longing, sacrifice, and the haunting power of secrets. What happens when love blooms in the shadows? Can it survive betrayal, pride, and the weight of societal expectations? By the end of this video, you'll know every twist and turn of this emotional journey. A story so real, it might make you question what truly matters in life. You'll also discover lesser-known details about how even the richest among us aren't immune to heartbreak or redemption. So, stay with me until the very end, because trust me, the final revelation will leave you breathless. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you gripping stories that inspire, move, and challenge the way you see the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our growing community of curious minds. Now, let's step into the world of cherry blossoms and uncover the secret love affair that changed a millionaire's life forever. Let me introduce you to Alexander Hartwell, a name that echoed in boardrooms and headlines alike. To the world, Alex was untouchable, a self-made millionaire who had built an empire from nothing. His life was the stuff of dreams, or at least what people assumed dreams were made of. Private jets whisked him across continents, luxury estates dotted his portfolio, and high-profile business deals rolled off his tongue like poetry. He owned penthouses with skyline views, cars that roared power, and yachts that sailed into sunsets most people only saw on postcards. But behind the polished exterior was a man known for being cold, calculating, and fiercely private. In meetings, he spoke in clipped sentences, his sharp gaze cutting through excuses and pleasantries. At charity galas, he stood apart, drink in hand, watching the crowd with detached amusement. Women flocked to him, drawn by his charisma and wealth, but none could pierce the armor he wore so effortlessly. Men admired him from afar, envying his success, but wary of his reputation as someone who played to win and never looked back. Yet despite all this, there was something missing, something no one dared to ask about. Beneath the glittering surface of his seemingly perfect life lay a quiet ache, a void that even his achievements couldn't fill. Strangely enough, it wasn't the bustling cities or lavish parties that called to him when the noise became too much. Instead, Alex found himself retreating to places few knew about, hidden gardens tucked away from prying eyes, where cherry blossoms painted the air pink every spring. He would sit there for hours, sometimes alone, sometimes lost in thought, watching the petals fall like whispers from the heavens. People wondered why he chose such serene spots over the adrenaline rush of his fast-paced world. Was it nostalgia, a habit, or perhaps something deeper? What drew him to these tranquil havens time and again? The truth is, those cherry blossoms weren't just flowers to Alex. They were reminders of moments long buried, memories too fragile to touch but too precious to forget. And unbeknownst to anyone, they would soon become the backdrop for a chapter of his life he never saw coming. Let's go back 5 years. Picture a quaint little cafe nestled at the edge of a park, its windows framed by cascading cherry blossoms. The air buzzed with life, tourists snapping photos, children chasing falling petals, and couples laughing over steaming cups of coffee. Inside, the cafe hummed with warmth, scented with freshly baked pastries and the earthy aroma of ground coffee beans. It was the kind of place where time seemed to slow down inviting you to linger just a little longer. And there he was, Alexander Hartwell, out of place, almost jarring amidst the cheerful chaos. He sat alone at a corner table, dressed in an impeccably tailored suit that screamed power and precision. His fingers drummed lightly on the table as he nursed an espresso, his sharp eyes scanning the room like he was analyzing every detail for some invisible flaw. Tourists chattered around him, oblivious to his presence. But Alex might as well have been on another planet. He didn't belong here, not in this cozy, carefree world of laughter and light. That's when she walked in. Elena Martinez. She moved with a quiet grace, her dark hair tied loosely in a braid, strands escaping to frame her face. Her hands were stained faintly with paint, evidence of mornings spent chasing dreams bigger than herself. Elena worked part-time at the cafe while pursuing her passion, becoming a painter. There was something magnetic about her, a warmth that radiated even as she juggled orders and smiled at quirky customers. She wasn't flashy or loud. Instead, her energy felt like sunlight breaking through clouds, steady and comforting. Their first interaction wasn't exactly poetic. It was clumsy, actually. As Elena approached Alex's table to refill his cup, her elbow caught the edge of his saucer, sending a splash of espresso onto his pristine white shirt. For a moment, silence fell between them. Alex froze, his icy demeanor flickering for the briefest second before annoyance settled in. "Careful," he said curtly, dabbing at the stain with a napkin. But then Elena laughed, not nervously, not apologetically, but genuinely. "Well," she said with a shrug, "at least now your shirt matches your mood." To everyone's surprise, including his own, Alex chuckled. It was soft, barely audible, but it happened. That small moment cracked open a door neither of them expected to walk through. Over the next few weeks, their paths crossed often. Quirky regulars became inside jokes. The elderly man who always ordered 3 lattes for research purposes, or the teenager who insisted on reciting Shakespeare while waiting for his cappuccino. Alex found himself staying longer than necessary, drawn inexplicably to Elena's easy banter and unguarded honesty. She noticed, too, the way his gaze lingered just a beat too long, how he hesitated before speaking, as if choosing his words carefully. One rainy afternoon, they discovered common ground. Elena mentioned a painting she'd been working on, a stormy seascape inspired by a line from T.S. Eliot. To her surprise, Alex quoted the poem verbatim, his voice tinged with nostalgia. They talked for hours that day, diving into art, poetry, and philosophy. Elena introduced him to the beauty of simplicity, the joy of capturing fleeting moments in brushstrokes. In return, Alex showed her ambition beyond her wildest dreams, encouraging her to think bigger, dream bolder. Though worlds apart, their connection deepened. Where Alex saw structure and strategy, Elena brought color and spontaneity. And where Elena doubted her ability to break free from her humble beginnings, Alex reminded her of her potential. Slowly, imperceptibly, the cherry blossoms outside the cafe began to feel less like decorations and more like witnesses to stolen glances, lingering conversations, and the fragile beginnings of something neither could name yet, but both felt viscerally. As the days turned into weeks, Alex couldn't deny what was happening inside him. For the first time in years, he felt something real, something alive. But with those feelings came a storm of questions that refused to quiet down. How could someone like him, a man who had built his empire on logic and control, fall for someone so different from his world? Elena wasn't just kind or creative. She was everything Alex wasn't: free-spirited, unguarded, and untouched by the weight of expectations. And yet, it was precisely those differences that drew him closer, but societal pressures loomed large. In Alex's world, relationships weren't just personal, they were strategic. His business partners often joked about power couples, hinting at alliances that would elevate his status even further. To them, love was a transaction, not an emotion. So how could Alex explain Elena? A woman who painted sunsets instead of signing contracts, who quoted poetry instead of profit margins. The thought of introducing her to his circle filled him with unease. What would they say? Would they see her as genuine or dismiss her as naive? Worse still, would they accuse her of being after his money? Elena wrestled with doubts too, though hers stemmed from a very different place. She admired Alex deeply. The way he challenged her, believed in her dreams, and made her feel seen in ways no one else ever had. Yet, there was always a shadow hanging over their connection: fear. Fear of judgment, fear of misunderstanding, fear of losing herself in his glittering but unfamiliar world. Every time they met, whispers echoed in the back of her mind. Was she good enough? Did she deserve this life? Or worse, would people assume she was using him, a gold digger masquerading as a dreamer? Their bond grew stronger despite these insecurities, but external forces began to close in. Friends warned Elena to tread carefully. "He's not like us," one friend said bluntly over coffee. "You think you're special, but trust me, girls like you don't last long in his world." The words stung, planting seeds of doubt she tried desperately to ignore. Meanwhile, Alex faced ridicule from his own circle. During a board meeting, a colleague smirked and remarked, "You've been awfully distracted lately, Hartwell. Softening up, are we?" The jab cut deeper than Alex cared to admit. He snapped back with a biting retort, but the comment lingered, gnawing at his resolve. Tension simmered between them, unspoken but undeniable. They both wanted more time together, more honesty, more freedom to be themselves, but the world around them seemed determined to keep them apart. One evening, sitting beneath the cherry blossoms, they finally voiced their fears. Elena confessed her worries about being judged, while Alex admitted his struggle to reconcile his feelings with the life he'd built. Neither had answers, but both agreed on one thing: if their relationship was going to survive, it needed protection. Protection from prying eyes, harsh opinions, and the suffocating weight of societal norms they made a decision, one born out of necessity rather than choice. Their meetings became clandestine, hidden behind closed doors and veiled under starlit skies. The cherry blossom trees became their sanctuary, their secret refuge where the outside world couldn't reach them. There, surrounded by nature's fleeting beauty, they allowed themselves moments of vulnerability. Handwritten notes tucked into books, stolen glances across crowded rooms, and whispered promises exchanged under moonlight became their new reality. For a while, it worked. Their secret felt safe, sacred even. But deep down, they both knew better. Secrets have a way of unraveling, no matter how tightly you hold onto them. Each rendezvous carried a silent question neither dared to ask aloud. How long could they keep this up before the truth came spilling out? Because secrets rarely stay buried forever. And when they're surfaced, it wouldn't just change their lives. It would shatter them. The calm they had built under the cherry blossoms didn't last. Unbeknownst to Alex and Elena, someone had been watching, someone who thrived on destruction. Enter Victor Langston, a rival businessman with a reputation as ruthless as it was cunning. Victor had spent years trying to outmaneuver Alex in the cutthroat world of corporate deals, only to fall short time and again. To him, Alex wasn't just competition. He was an obstacle, a symbol of everything Victor couldn't conquer. And when Victor stumbled upon photos of Alex meeting Elena in secret, his jealousy ignited into something far more dangerous. At first, Victor dismissed the images as harmless. A man like Alex wouldn't risk his empire for a woman, would he? But curiosity turned into obsession as Victor dug deeper. He uncovered their hidden meetings, piecing together fragments of their relationship until he saw an opportunity, not just to hurt Alex professionally, but to destroy him personally. Elena became the perfect leverage. Victor approached her one evening after work, cornering her outside the cafe where she painted during slow hours. His smile was sharp, almost predatory, as he introduced himself. "Elena Martinez," he said smoothly. "You're quite the muse, aren't you?" Confused, she asked what he meant. That's when Victor laid it all out: his knowledge of her connection to Alex, his plans to expose their affair unless Alex backed off a lucrative merger deal that could make or break his company. Think about it, Victor sneered. Do you really want to be the reason his empire crumbles? Or worse, do you want your little art career smeared across tabloids as some gold-digging scandal? Elena felt the ground shift beneath her feet. She tried to protest, to tell him there was nothing scandalous about their relationship, but Victor wasn't listening. He made his threat clear. If Alex didn't step away from the deal, Victor would ruin Elena's reputation and maybe even her life. Panic clawed at her chest. How could she possibly choose between protecting herself and saving Alex's empire? She begged Victor to reconsider, but he simply smirked and walked away, leaving her trembling in the cold night air. When Elena told Alex about the ultimatum, his blood ran cold. For days, he wrestled with the impossible choice before him. Sacrifice his empire, the foundation of everything he'd worked so hard to build, or let Elena bear the brunt of Victor's cruelty. Neither option felt right, yet both demanded action. Sleep eluded him as he weighed the consequences. In the end, pride won out over love. He convinced himself that Elena would understand, that she'd forgive him once the dust settled. So, with a heavy heart, he called off the merger, handing Victor the victory he'd been chasing for years. But the cost was higher than Alex anticipated. When Elena learned of his decision, betrayal sliced through her like a knife. She confronted him, tears streaming down her face. "You chose your empire over me," she whispered, her voice breaking. "After everything we've shared, you let him win." Alex tried to explain, to apologize, but his words fell flat against the weight of her pain. Heartbroken and humiliated, Elena vanished from his life overnight, leaving behind only a single cherry blossom petal pinned to his office door. A silent goodbye that spoke volumes. For months, Alex wandered the streets like a ghost, haunted by memories of Elena. Every corner reminded him of her laughter. Every breeze carried the faint scent of cherry blossoms. He replayed their final argument in his mind, each word cutting deeper than the last. Guilt consumed him, gnawing at his soul until nothing remained but emptiness. His fortune, once a source of pride, now felt meaningless. The luxury cars, sprawling estates, and high-profile deals couldn't fill the void she had left behind. Even his closest colleagues noticed the change. The man who had once commanded boardrooms with unwavering confidence now seemed lost, distracted, and hollow. Rumors swirled about what had happened, but no one dared to ask. Instead, they watched as Alex isolated himself, retreating further into his grief. Nights stretched endlessly, filled with regret and unanswered questions. What if he had fought harder for her? What if he had sacrificed his empire instead of her trust? The cherry blossom trees, once their sanctuary, became symbols of everything he had lost. Each petal that fell felt like another piece of his heart crumbling away. Alex realized too late that love wasn't something you could trade or negotiate. It was raw, untamed, and irreplaceable. And now, without Elena, his world felt as fragile as those delicate pink petals drifting to the ground. 3 years had passed since Elena disappeared from Alex's life, leaving behind only a single cherry blossom petal and an ache that never fully healed. In those 3 years, Alex did everything he could to rebuild, not just his empire, but himself. He sold off properties, scaled back on high-stakes deals, and poured his energy into something far more meaningful: philanthropy. Art scholarships became his passion project, a quiet tribute to Elena's unfulfilled dreams. He funded programs for struggling artists, hoping that somewhere out there, someone like her might find the support she never got. But no matter how much good he did, Alex couldn't escape the shadow of their past. Every gallery opening, every brushstroke on canvas reminded him of her. The cherry blossoms still bloomed each spring, their petals falling gently as if whispering her name. He tried to convince himself that moving on was possible, but deep down, he knew better. Some wounds don't heal. They simply fade into scars that linger forever. Then, one evening, fate intervened in the most unexpected way. Alex attended an art gallery opening, a charity event benefiting young painters. The space buzzed with chatter, filled with vibrant works displayed under soft lighting. As he wandered through the exhibits, one painting stopped him cold. Titled Cherry Blossom Confessions, it depicted two figures standing beneath a cascade of pink petals, their faces blurred but unmistakably connected by threads of emotion. It was hauntingly beautiful, evoking memories Alex had buried but never forgotten. And then he saw the artist's name, Elena Martinez. His breath caught in his throat. For a moment, he thought his mind was playing tricks on him. But there it was, her name, written clearly beside the masterpiece. His heart raced as he scanned the room, searching for any sign of her. Then across the crowded gallery, their eyes met. Elena stood near the entrance, dressed in a simple yet elegant dress, her dark hair loose around her shoulders. She looked different, older, wiser, but still radiating the same warmth that had captivated him years ago. First, their reunion was awkward. Neither knew where to begin or what to say. Alex approached slowly, unsure if she'd even want to speak to him after all this time. Elena, he said softly, his voice trembling. It's been a long time. She nodded, her expression guarded. Alex, I didn't expect to see you here. Her tone was polite but distant, a stark contrast to the easy intimacy they once shared. They exchanged pleasantries, both painfully aware of the elephant in the room. Yet, as they stood there amidst the art and music, old feelings began to resurface. Memories flooded back, their laughter, their arguments, their stolen moments under the cherry blossoms. The spark between them, though dimmed by time and pain, remained undeniable. Eventually, they found themselves sitting together in a quiet corner of the gallery, away from the crowd. The conversation started hesitantly, with small talk about her work and his philanthropy. But soon, the walls came down. Alex confessed his guilt, admitting that he had made the wrong choice all those years ago. I thought I was protecting you, he said, his voice heavy with regret. But instead, I lost the one thing that truly mattered. Elena listened silently, tears welling up in her eyes. When she finally spoke, her words carried the weight of years spent healing. I was angry for so long, she admitted. Not just at you, but at myself, for trusting too easily, for believing we could overcome anything. But over time, I realized we were both victims of circumstances beyond our control. As they talked, they confronted the unresolved issues that had driven them apart. Elena admitted that part of her had always loved him, even when hatred felt easier. And Alex vowed to never let fear dictate his choices again. If given another chance, he said earnestly, I won't make the same mistakes. You mean more to me than anything I've ever built. Their reconciliation wasn't immediate. It couldn't be, not after everything they'd endured. But as they sat there, surrounded by art that mirrored their journey, they began to rebuild the bridge that had burned between them. Elena smiled faintly, a glimmer of hope lighting up her face. Maybe we can start fresh, she suggested cautiously. No secrets, no running away. Just honesty. Alex reached for her hand, his touch tentative but full of promise. I'd like that, he said, his voice steady for the first time in years. Let's take it one step at a time. As Alex and Elena's story unfolds, it leaves behind a trail of lessons that resonate far beyond the boundaries of their personal journey. At its core, this tale isn't just about two people finding their way back to each other. It's about the timeless truth that love transcends wealth, status, and even time itself. In a world obsessed with material success, Alex's downfall wasn't losing his fortune. It was realizing too late that no amount of money could replace the warmth of genuine connection. True happiness, as he discovered, doesn't come from what you own but from who you are and who you choose to let into your life. One of the most powerful takeaways from this story is the danger of letting pride or fear dictate our choices. Alex's decision to sacrifice his relationship for his empire stemmed from fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of losing control. But in trying to protect himself, he ended up losing the very thing that gave his life meaning. It's a reminder we can all carry into our own lives. Don't let fear keep you from taking risks, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. Love requires vulnerability, and while it may feel terrifying at times, it's also where true fulfillment lies. The story also highlights the importance of second chances. Life rarely gives us clear-cut opportunities to make things right, but when those moments arise, they're worth seizing. Elena admitted she still loved Alex despite the pain he caused her, and Alex vowed to be better, not just for her, but for himself. This teaches us that everyone deserves a chance to grow, to heal, and to rewrite their story. Holding onto grudges only weighs us down, while forgiveness opens doors we didn't know were closed. But perhaps the most poignant lesson is one that encourages reflection within ourselves. What secrets are you hiding? Are there relationships you've neglected because of pride or fear? Opportunities you've missed because you were too focused on external validation? Alex and Elena's journey reminds us that life is fleeting, much like the cherry blossoms they cherished. Those delicate petals don't cling to the branches. They fall gracefully, reminding us to embrace the present moment before it slips away. Take a moment to think about your own life. Who do you need to forgive? What bridges have you burned that might still be rebuilt? And most importantly, how can you live more authentically, prioritizing the connections and passions that truly matter over the superficial markers of success? This story isn't just theirs, it's ours too. Because deep down, we've all faced moments of doubt, regret, and longing. The question is, will we let those moments define us, or will we rise above them, just as Alex and Elena did? Let their journey inspire you to reflect, reconnect, and rediscover what brings meaning to your life. After all, love has a way of blooming when you least expect it, but only if you're brave enough to nurture it. Just when Alex thought his reunion with Elena was the ultimate twist of fate, life had one more surprise in store, a revelation that would change everything yet again. As they sat together in the quiet corner of the gallery, catching up on lost years and tentative hopes for the future, Elena hesitated before speaking. Her fingers toyed nervously with the hem of her dress, a habit Alex remembered from their early days together. Sensing her unease, he leaned closer. "What is it?" he asked softly. Elena took a deep breath, her eyes searching his face as if gauging how he might react. Then, almost in a whisper, she said, "There's something I need to tell you." She paused, gathering courage. "During our time apart, I discovered I was pregnant." The words hit Alex like a thunderclap. His heart stopped for a moment, then raced ahead as questions flooded his mind. Pregnant? A child? His child? He stared at her, speechless, until she continued. "I didn't know how to reach you, or even if you'd want to be involved. So I made the decision to raise her on my own." Her voice softened, tinged with both pride and vulnerability. "Her name is Lily." Lily. The name alone felt like poetry, delicate and full of promise. But nothing could have prepared Alex for what came next. Elena reached into her bag and pulled out a small photo album, flipping it open to reveal pictures of a bright-eyed little girl with curly dark hair and an infectious smile. In every image, she looked like a perfect blend of them. Alex's sharp gaze paired with Elena's warmth. "She's 4 now," Elena added quietly, watching him carefully. Tears welled up in Alex's eyes as he traced the edge of one photo with trembling fingers. For years, he had believed he had lost everything. His empire, his love, his sense of purpose. But here was proof that life had gone on without him, creating something beautiful in spite of his absence. "Can I meet her?" he finally managed to ask, his voice thick with emotion. Elena nodded, smiling through her own tears. "Of course. She deserves to know her father, and you deserve to know her." The next day, Alex found himself standing outside a cozy suburban home surrounded by, you guessed it, cherry blossom trees. Elena greeted him warmly, holding Lily's hand. The little girl looked up at him curiously, her wide eyes studying him as if trying to piece together who this stranger was. "Lily," Elena said gently, kneeling beside her, "this is Alex. He's someone very special." For a moment, no one spoke. Then, breaking the silence, Lily grinned mischievously and held out a tiny hand. "Hi," she chirped. "Do you like art? Mommy says you help artists." Alex laughed, the sound surprising even himself after so many years of emptiness. Kneeling down to meet her eye level, he shook her hand solemnly. Yes, I do. And I think you're going to be an amazing artist someday, just like your mom. Lily giggled, instantly charmed, and tugged him inside to show off her latest drawings. Meeting his daughter brought a flood of emotions Alex hadn't anticipated: joy, guilt, wonder, and above all, gratitude. For the first time in years, he felt whole again. Lily wasn't just redemption. She was renewal, a second chance at building something meaningful. Watching her interact with Elena, seeing their bond unfold naturally, filled him with awe. This was family, not the cold, calculated alliances he'd once pursued, but something raw, real, and infinitely precious. Over the following weeks, Alex and Elena worked to rebuild not just their relationship, but also a foundation strong enough to include Lily. They decided to start anew, blending their worlds into a harmonious future. Alex sold his remaining luxury properties, choosing instead to invest in a quieter life near Elena and Lily. Together, they created a home surrounded by cherry blossoms, the same trees that had witnessed the beginning of their story years ago as spring arrived. Painting the world pink once more, Alex stood beneath those familiar branches with Elena by his side and Lily laughing in his arms. It wasn't perfect, it never would be, but it didn't need to be. What mattered was that they were together, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead as a united front. And so, beneath the cherry blossoms, a secret love transformed into a lifetime of happiness. Their journey, from forbidden romance to betrayal, redemption, and renewal, proved that even the deepest wounds can heal with time, forgiveness, and love. Surrounded by petals falling like whispers of hope, Alex, Elena, and Lily stepped boldly into their new chapter, hand in hand. From forbidden romance to heart-wrenching betrayal, from redemption to a joyous reunion, Alex and Elena's story is a testament to the enduring power of love. It reminds us that no matter how impossible things may seem, love always finds a way. Whether through whispered confessions under cherry blossoms or the unexpected arrival of a child who bridges two broken hearts. Their journey teaches us that true happiness comes not from wealth or status, but from authenticity, forgiveness, and the courage to embrace second chances. Thank you for taking the time to join us on this emotional ride. Stories like these are meant to inspire reflection, spark hope, and remind us of what truly matters in life. If this tale resonated with you, or if it stirred something deep within, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What did you take away from Alex and Elena's story? Have you ever experienced a moment of redemption or renewal in your own life? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories that challenge, move, and uplift. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and share this video with someone who might need a reminder that even after the darkest storms, cherry blossoms still bloom. Until next time, keep believing in the power of love. And remember, sometimes all it takes is one petal falling at just the right moment to change everything.